I'm Ellen Devine, Ellen Devine Hair on Instagram. I'm a Villa ArTeam member, and today we're gonna talk about not one, not two, but 3 different types of fringes that are currently trending and also part of this evolution of fringe that I've seen over the past few years. So we're gonna go over a curtain fringe, a bottleneck bang or a bottleneck fringe, and also something that I've seen trending lately is the wispy bang or the wispy fringe. So we'll talk about the differences of them and really build on the foundation of each fringe. So first we're gonna jump right into that curtain fringe. Now the curtain fringe has been really taking the hair world by storm. When I first noticed the curtain fringe coming out, we were really taking it pretty heavy and really different types of lengths. You can see it in very short versions, long versions. What I've really noticed as of late is our curtain fringes are getting longer and we're really changing up what happens in the middle with the other fringes. So how do we section for that curtain fringe? We have a center part that we're starting with, and we're just going to base it off of that center part. Now we want to find that corner of the eye. This is where the hair is naturally going to live. So we always see everyone take little triangles, but why do we take the triangle? It's because where that hair naturally lives is where we want to cut the fringe. So we'll start with that. Another way to double check, besides finding that corner of the eye, if you take your client, turn them, use your mirror. Your mirror is your best friend in the salon. Take the spine of your comb, which is without the teeth right here, and we're just gonna rest it directly at that hairline. Right where that comb lifts off the head, boom, you can see there's a change of direction happening. If you visually check that point out, place your finger, and now you'll section based off of that point of reference. So lay in the comb, section out, and boom, you are left with a triangle on one side. I'm gonna take the rest of the hair and we wanna just clip that back. So we're gonna use our dry cutting clips for this. This has the band there so that when we go ahead and clip the rest of the hair out of the way, we're not getting any dents in the hair that we've already blow dried, flat ironed, whatever you've done to pre-style your fringe. Okay, so we're just sectioning out the other side. We're gonna clip the rest of the hair out of the way, and we're gonna continue cutting our curtain fringe. Now, thinking about a curtain fringe, really picture what a curtain does to the frame of a window. You're actually framing the face with these curtain bangs or curtain fringes. So typically you'll have your window, and then on either side, that long curtain that frames that window. And sometimes what you can do is just take your curtains on the wall, not the hair yet, on the wall, and you peel them back. And sometimes there's hooks that pull them back, ties. But when you picture a curtain fringe, it is really to frame the face, and it can easily be peeled off of that face and just frames it. So your face is your window, that triangle is your curtains. So you're almost creating this wall of hair that can easily be tucked away if you want, but also feathered back a bit. So we're gonna pop that center part right back in. Once that center part's back in, we're gonna take another clip and just get that out of the way. So we're starting with one side of your triangle here, and it's a good amount of hair. For a curtain fringe, what I've noticed lately is that they are fairly long, starting around the lip level, maybe that chin level. So we want to cut a guide first, but really picture where you want that to frame. And this will be all based off of your client's needs and what they're looking for. But to get started, let's take a little tiny piece right in the center front there. We're going to determine where we want the length to start. Okay, for this, I am going to be using our Villa Artist Series Shear, one of my favorites. And we're gonna cut that guide. I'm thinking let's go right around the bottom of the lip there. And I'm just gonna cut a blunt line. So we've determined our length that we want our fringe to be start. So this is the shortest part of that fringe. And we're just going to release that little triangle that we've peeled back. Okay, so notice my body is gonna stand on the opposite side. We're gonna be over directing this hair so that we get a nice swoop when it goes back into its natural fall. So I'm gonna take this entire section at once. You don't have to take the entire section. I really enjoy doing compressed cutting. One, for speed, but two, it also gives me a good amount of chewiness or texture to it. And I really personally enjoy it. So that's my personal touch to it. So feel free to take this in sections, but let's go ahead and take it all at once. So we're gonna take our entire section here, and then we're gonna take our guide right here that we just cut and just simply lay it on the outside of the comb. Okay, so you'll see we have our guide there as well as that entire section. And I do that just so I can keep track of it. And I'm just gonna float out diagonally to that guide. And it's right about there. So notice where we're pulling it to. We're over directing it to the opposite corner of the eye, right there. And my body will be on this side as well. Now my elevation, picture this. If I cut it in natural fall, it's gonna be really heavy. It won't be as layered, which is totally okay. But you might find that you have to go back through and add layers in it as well. So here's how to do it all at once. We'll definitely texturize, but we wanna take this entire section, elevate just slightly out of its natural fall. So see, we're just lifting it slightly out of this natural fall. Just gonna peel back so you can see my guide and my finger there. And we're just gonna cut on that diagonal. Now we're gonna point cut. We wanna get a good amount of texture going, but also so it's not as harsh or blunt. Okay, so we can see we're on the opposite corner of the eye there. Point cut. And at this point in the salon, I always tell my guests, okay, don't judge it yet. We're just getting that length in and a little bit of layering to start. We still wanna add a little texture, but what we're looking for, what's already doing it really, really beautifully right here, is just a little bit of a swoop. So it's going short to long, and then notice that we have a little bit of layering just around the edge. So it's not completely blunt, but it's not extremely layered. We wanna keep a little bit of weight on it. So let's move to the opposite side now. I'm gonna take this entire section, and we wanna put our body on the opposite side. So I'm just gonna simply move the mannequin so y'all can see when we bring or over direct that section. Remember, our point of reference to over direct to is that corner of the eye right there. So we wanna pick up right in center front that guide that we cut first. So right there, place it in our comb, over direct to the opposite corner of the eye. There is our guide right there. So we wanna over direct that entire triangle to the opposite corner of the eye, just like before. And then boom, there's our guide right there. So recombing, placing my fingers diagonally because they're just gonna mimic our part. Boom, right there's our guide. And remember, just slightly elevate it out of its natural fall. And we're gonna go ahead and point cut. So it doesn't need to be a perfect straight line. We want a little bit of texture in there, but also a little bit of weight. And what gives us the weight is that lower elevation. If you wanted it a little bit lighter, more layered, you would elevate higher. So we're going to release and texturize. So when we check for balance, we wanna just make sure all the hair is coming forward, and then just take your comb. If you need to do a little bit of a balancing act there, no worries. We're just gonna take our comb and start detailing where we might need to clean up those areas. Just point cutting into them. It's all right to have just a little bit of extra length. And then we want to texturize. So we want to grab a different shear that's going to take a little bit of weight out, but not too much. So we're going to grab our Invisiblends. The Invisiblends are one of my all-time favorite shears. I love them because they really cut like a razor, I feel like. They give this really nice texture. There's only about 23 teeth on it, and it's really unique. What cuts on these shears is actually the teeth and not this blunt blade right there. So we're gonna use these to get a little bit of weight out, and all we're gonna do is I'm just gonna take that entire triangle and just still over direct, but I'm gonna come inside, and actually I'm gonna flip to where that blunt shear is on the bottom and the teeth are on the top. And I'm just peeling away on the very ends and doing just a hair or two in the mids right there. So look at how such little hair comes out at a time. This is really a great shear, especially for those clients that are a little bit fearful of shears like this. They don't have to be scary. It's really all in how you use them. And the purpose of using them is to just release a little bit of weight. So we're gonna do a little bit at a time. I'm gonna take my next section, same thing, over direct, moving my body so that I'm comfortable while doing this as well. Blunt blade on the bottom, and we're just gonna peel away a little bit of hair. So the curtain fringe is done. Now let's do a little bit of styling. I'm taking a thermal round brush. I'm just gonna spritz it with a little bit of water, and this is just gonna help me reform the hair. And that is our curtain fringe. So notice how the curtain fringe, you have your window or the face, and then the curtains can be pulled back off your face more, but truly they hang around the face. They're heavier, they're longer, but they can also be whipped off the face. Really easy, really simple. But now let's take it into that bottleneck bang. And what's the difference of that is we're gonna now look for that Coke bottle shape, if you will, and we're looking for that right in the front. So a bottleneck bang or a bottleneck fringe, you're really gonna see the shape of that bottle on the face shape. And it's really gonna focus mainly right in the middle where you take that length off. So we'll have a little disconnection on the sides and shortness in the front. So let's go ahead and pop in that same triangle sectioning that we started off with. Okay, so now that we have that little triangle section back, we're gonna separate this into a smaller triangle right in the center. So continuing based off of that middle part, we're just gonna take a little bit of a smaller triangle right inside. We'll clip this other side out of the way. So it's truly what's gonna hang in front of the face. So we'll take that center front piece, and I know that there's gonna be a little bounce. Here's a hot tip. Ask your guests how they style their bangs. If they already have them, they'll know. And if not, you should all discover it together. Are they using a round brush? Are they using a flat iron? What is their method of it? Because if we cut it and we say our final goal is to the eyebrow, right about there, but they're taking a round brush and high up to it, that's gonna pop up quite a bit shorter. So always make sure you ask your guests. Now let's go back here, and I'm just gonna let it sit in its natural fall right there. And we're gonna stay just a hair below the eyebrow to start right there. All right, so we just sprayed down this hair just a bit for control. We're gonna take our comb, and this is another look where we wanna keep as much weight as possible, especially if our guest has finer hair. Now, if they have thicker hair, we would go ahead and layer this a little bit different, but let's keep some weight on these babies. So we're gonna come from underneath with that comb. I'm keeping my finger position horizontal, and I'm not gonna lift it this time. So 0 elevation, except for 1 finger's width, meaning I'm holding the hair with my finger, and that is resting against the head. So technically, that is 1 finger's width of graduation or elevation behind it. So we'll have a little bit of graduation in there. We're gonna take this hair, hold it horizontally, and just simply shift it over. And now we're just gonna cut really small, shallow point cuts. I'm gonna readjust so I don't cut my finger. And just that little shift is gonna give us just a little bit of an angle in that fringe. Okay, so we'll start there, do the opposite side, and then we'll spray everything down just a bit for control. Okay, so same exact thing. We'll take a little piece of our guide, which came from the center front. We're gonna hold it in our fingers and just shift it to the side. Not elevating, just using our finger as that little graduation piece. And do very shallow point cuts. So we wanna keep that weight on there. And if we texturize, I like to choose how much texture after I see how this is sitting. So let's go ahead and spray this down. So now while styling this one, we're gonna use a comb to style these. Okay, so bottleneck bang is complete. This is what I want y'all to notice. See how we have that leftover curtain fringe that really sits around that jawline? That was the outside of our curtain fringe previously. And then now we took that little triangle and we can just start to split this open. Now you can leave it longer if you want to see more of a push to the side there. Or if someone wants a little duality in their fringe, take it this short and then they could also wear it really in front there. So it's just sweeping that eye. But what you'll notice is you start seeing when you push it out of the way, you get that curtain fringe effect, but there's that Coke bottle where it goes out and then back in. So you have narrow to wide, back to narrow, and it just frames the face so pretty. And it's great for people that want a little something, pulling their hair back, whatever they're looking for, but frames the face really nice. You have that fringe that you could still push out of the way, but it's just giving enough. Okay, so notice the evolution that the hair has taken from. We went from that curtain fringe and still left elements of that curtain fringe in that bottleneck bang, but we just opened up that eye area. So then now there's a little bit more of an actual fringe or bang to play with. Now let's take it into what I'm seeing now as that wispy kind of fringe. So for this wispy fringe, not too much else needs to be done except we need to change our tool, and we also need to go ahead and possibly take a little more length off the sides depending on the look that your guest is looking for. So we'll texturize and then get rid of some of these walls, if you will. So we're gonna move on to our 14 tooth point cutting shear. This is really great. It mimics point cutting, but it takes a lot of weight out. We're gonna use that just to release some of that weight to get that wispy bang type of effect. We're also gonna switch our elevation. So we know from before, when we did a very low elevation, it makes it heavier, a little bit blunter, but knowing that we want it lighter, wispier, that means we need to take that elevation from low to high. So let's start in this front area, and we're gonna go right in the center of that fringe where it's shortest. And we're gonna take just a small vertical section. It's almost the entire section, right? So just a little small piece. And we're just gonna start texturizing it with those 14 tooth point cutting shears. With these, it's really great. You can go in directly with them horizontally and get a nice point cut effect. And I really like doing it that way because that's really the easiest method about it. You can also take those shears and go up vertically if you want to do one at a time and just choose how much you're taking out. So we're just moving radially with this fringe. Now we're taking that outside section piece. So it's the final little section of that short fringe, taking a little vertical section, elevating it diagonally off of the head, and we're gonna take those 14 tooth and boom, go in. About 2 snips to start, and then I like to see how we're looking. So you're starting to get a little bit more of that wispiness. So let's do just a hair more. Okay, great. So now we have that wispiness. Now let's go take these walls off of it. I'm gonna choose to actually still use my 14 tooth point cutting shears for this. And we're just gonna take those side walls or curtains, whatever you wanna call it, and we're just gonna blend it out with the fringe. Probably take it to the cheekbone there. Using the same principles as before, we're gonna use over direction to do the work for us, but instead of keeping it low, let's bring it up high. So we're gonna take this entire outside section, over direct it to the center front of the head. Okay, so we're over directing it because that's gonna give a little bit of length and weight in that opposite direction. And it's gonna come right to the center portion of that head. And see where that fringe starts, right? You'll find your guide. And we're just gonna take those 14 tooth point cutting shears and start peeling away hair. And then every snip I do, I'll show you what I'm looking at. Every snip I do, I wanna assess and see how much more I wanna go. So I wanna do a little bit more here. Show you from the front profile what this looks like. Pulling it over. Just taking some weight and length off. Now you'll still have a little bit weight on the outside here because of that over direction. And as I look at it, I still want to take a little bit of length off here. So just gonna separate that piece, bring it over and blend it up with that center portion. So I'm truly cutting with these now, not just texturizing, I'm taking length off. And just like that, we're just getting a little bit less weight, if you can see the difference there. Little wispier, little less weight. So let's do the same thing on the other side. Taking this entire piece from the outside corner of the eye, over directing it to the center to start, finding where that fringe is, and we're just gonna take that shear horizontally and start peeling hair away. And then let's go ahead and just finesse it with our blow dryer. Okay, so as we style these, once they're pushed off the face, you can really see how much negative space there is in that fringe, and that's the wispiness. Now, also be aware of the texture you're doing this on. If someone's got finer hair, maybe you need to use a texture shear that has not as much of a gap in between, something like our Invisiblend shear. But when you're looking to get a lot of negative space, I love those 14 tooth just for that. And also checking pulled off the face. Every time I cut a fringe on a guest, I really always recommend pulling it off their face even before you cut them and seeing what they're comfortable keeping on their face and off their face. So it tells you what kind of look they're going for. But that is that wispy fringe. I really hope you guys got something out of this today. I really love the evolution of the fringes that are happening. And really what I want y'all to understand is that we're not reinventing the wheel and we're not totally changing it. We're just taking bits and pieces and shifting our elevation, how we lift the hair, and also our tool. Our tools play such a big role in our final end result. So pick up a different tool, play with it a bit, and really start seeing how you take that little triangle section and all the little different minute details you can put into a fringe. I can't wait for you guys to try them out. Thanks for hanging with me today. Don't forget, please subscribe to Sam Villa's YouTube channel so you can stay up to date with all of our education that we put out and stay connected with us. Thanks.